Hey guys, welcome back to H&H Sports Talk. I'm your host Hunter with my co-host.
Holbert?
Sweet. So we're gonna get into some sports news that has happened over the past 2 weeks. First, we're gonna start with some boxing news. There was a fight. I want to say it was 2 weekends ago. For the unified light heavyweight title between Artur Beterbiev and Anthony Yard, and Beterbiev took the win by eighth round TKO. And this was a really big fight because Beterbiev holds three of the four belts in the division, and this was a heavy hitting fight that ended with Beterbiev winning. It was really back to back for quite some time. Beterbiev was hitting a lot more of the bigger shots, and then Yard was hitting a lot more shots too, and had the crowd going crazy. And those points where you thought Yard could actually pull off the upset. And I know a lot of the fans there because it happened in London and that's where Yard is from, and so a lot of the fans wanted Yard to win. They kept chanting his name, but at the end of the day, Beterbiev is just really strong. So overall, it was a really good fight.
So who has the fourth belt in that division?
It is Beevil, the guy that beat Canelo.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, it's kind of they want to fight each other because obviously Beterbiev has three of the belts, but I think Beevil is gonna fight someone else before, and then he wanted to fight Canelo, or Canelo wanted to fight again. So it's a little back and forth, and so maybe later on, towards the end of the year, we'll probably get the undisputed at light heavyweight, and that would be a really good fight.
Yeah, do you think that they'll do the undisputed fight first before Canelo fights Beevil?
It could be a possibility, but I think kind of with the promotional thing would kind of stop them. So that's something to look at, and it probably won't happen until everything else is settled because I think Bevo does want to give Canelo that rematch
I just feel like the rematch would be so much like crazier if it was for all the belts.
for
If
all the
Beevil
belts, right?
wins.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a big if Beevil wins type of thing.
Right, exactly. So you just have to see because as we've seen, Canelo has come back a stronger person. When they fight the second time, or just in general. So moving on, to more boxing news. Oscar De La Hoya met with Terrence Crawford in hopes to signing him to Golden Boy, which is his promotion. De La Hoya, I think, put it on his Instagram or Twitter, I don't know, one of his social media accounts, and he said that he had pitched a kind of like a plan to make bigger fights for Crawford, and it's happened in the past where Golden Boy kind of lets their fighters go on to other promotions and fight on, like, say, ESPN or Fox or Showtime, and Golden Boy is on the Zone, and so he's Oscar De La Hoya has let his guys go on those promotions and do their thing. And so I think if there's someone to go to, it would be Golden Boy, but it could also be kind of like misleading because Golden Boy, I mean, doesn't really have that many people in Crawford's division. But again, we'll just have to see because Crawford wants to fight Errol Spence.
Ooh, that sounds like a good fight.
hmm That'd be a really good fight, and that's definitely a 50-50 fight for sure. And so I think some of the names that come up for Terrence Crawford if he signs with Golden Boy would be Alexis Rocha. He actually just won his last fight, which was I think it was the same weekend as Beterbiev's fight, and he looked really good. And he was calling out all the names, especially Terrence Crawford, because like I said, Oscar De La Hoya had met with him, so he was like, "I want the big fights," and it just makes sense. And so moving on to some more boxing news, the long-awaited fight between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury is official for February 26th in Saudi Arabia, and it's actually going to be on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. So I think this ties in kind of with Jake Paul's new contract with the PFL, and as some of us know, the PFL is on ESPN and ESPN Plus. So he just signed that contract to do some MMA fighting, so I think that ties in with this, and this will be under Top Rank's banner for promotion. So Jake Paul seems to be doing business with everybody, and so he's kind of been on everybody's, I guess, promotion at this point. It's kind of funny.
Honestly, this fight, well, what was it supposed to happen like 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's been
Or
quite
at
some
least a
time.
year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been some time. A lot of tension building up,
Yeah, so
and
honestly, I think this might be that like the first proof that Jake Paul's a real fighter. I mean, Tommy Fury, not gonna be rude to him. I don't know if he's that good of a fighter, but he is a pro.
right.
So this is Jake Paul's like real first test against an actual pro fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it goes and see if he can, you know, pull out a win. I know he just wants to fight KSI for some reason, which is probably way overplayed at this point.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like this fight. Like it was supposed to happen a long time ago, but then here we are 2 years later, and they actually met in the ring and had a little stumble with each other because they I guess they're just trying to promote the fight or what have it be, but they were just going back and forth. And Tommy Fury, I mean, if you hear him in this little altercation, it's like he doesn't sound very threatening at all. I mean, that just could be me, but it was just like Jake Paul was just like, okay, yeah, whatever, whatever. And then for some reason, Derek Chisora, the heavyweight boxer, was just there in the background with his phone, just like trying to hold them back or like trying to get in every shot. And it was just kind of funny to see
He's
just
like,
the
let,
whole
let me
team
get
kind
my
of
face in the spotlight real quick.
right, right. And he's like, oh, let me do the face off. And it's like, Chisora, why are you there? So yeah, I don't know. I guess he likes the fight. I mean, it should be a good fight. I mean, Jake Paul has come a long way, and he's kind of slowly proven himself, and so we can see his real test, quote unquote, his real test, against Fury. Moving on to another fight that happened just this past Saturday. Alicia Bumgardner defeated Elam McCallid. I believe that's how you say her name. I could be wrong. To be the undisputed champ at 130 pounds in the women's division. So this was a really big fight because it was for the undisputed. Alicia just needed one more belt, and she took it. And she's been pretty good in the last few fights that I have seen. And there was that one, her last one against Michaela Mayer, and Michaela Mayer was a champ as well, and she took her belt. But Michaela Mayer, was going back and forth with her, and it was pretty even fight, I thought. And so some people had Michaela winning, some people had Alicia winning, so you could go either way. And so after the fight, Alicia came out and said, "Yeah, I'll give Michaela the rematch," which is understandable. It was a really close fight, and people either had it for Michaela or Alicia or even a draw. So take it how you will, but I think going forward, there's some really good fights for her at 130. So moving on to the main event in that card, because Alicia and McCallum were the co-main. Amanda Serrano beat Erica Cruz in an all-out war for the new undisputed featherweight champion. Uh, so this was a really good fight. It was back and forth. It was a tough win for Serrano, and Cruz definitely showed, she is a champ, and I'm pretty sure she'll be back. But Serrano, at the end of the day, is the better fighter. And so after that fight, it was announced that Serrano would get the rematch against Katie Taylor uh, on May 20th in Dublin, Ireland. So there was a lot of hype behind the first fight because they were two really good champions in their division, respectively. And so now for Serrano to get that rematch would be great for the women's division and women's boxing in general. And so I think I'd look forward to seeing that fight coming soon. And there's a lot of backing behind it. I think even McGregor came out, I think a few like last week sometime, saying that he would sponsor Katie Taylor or even give some money in so that way the fight can be in Ireland. And so it'll be a really good fight.
I think that would be a good fight just because I've seen a couple of Serrano's fights, and I don't know, she's just going after people. I
Yeah,
don't know.
she
She
really
has
likes
some
the
type of
box.
vengeance on something.
Yeah. I mean, she's just a really good fighter all around, and I think she's signed with Jake Paul still, right? I believe so.
I think that's what I was about to ask. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she was signed with Jake Paul's
Right.
like promotion or whatever it is.
Promotion, yeah. So, for him to have faith in her and for her to have faith in him too, being in that promotion that's kind of new. It's just cool to see that Serrano gets that rematch and kind of shows you what Jake Paul has in his name and whatnot to get the rematch. And with that, we move on to some MLB news. I believe this happened sometime last week or early this week. I'm not too sure, but the Royals re-signed veteran pitcher Zach Greinke, and this was a pretty good, decent pickup. I mean, he's kind of in his later years, but he can still pitch, and he's proven that he can be like one of the mid starters or mid tier starters, and kind of do some things effectively. And we'll just have to see how much longer he has left because he is getting older. So, and then moving on, we have the Giants and the starter Logan Webb are talking to do an extension. Uh, Logan Webb was one of their star-studded players or pitchers at that. I think when they made the playoff run, I want to say it was 2 years ago, if not 3 years ago, but they made their playoff run where everybody thought, man, I think the Giants are going to win, or they have a pretty good chance of going to the World Series. Logan Webb was like one of the bigger stars, and he kind of had an up and down season last season. So he has potential, and so I think that it would be really great that they get the extension with him if they end up doing that. And finally, with the last MLB news, we have Las Vegas gives their support for the A's to relocate, and this has been a topic I think for maybe since you and I have been in high school, Hobart. I'm not too sure, but it's been a while. I mean, everybody's going to Vegas now for team wise. We had here in San Antonio, we had the Rampage and we had the Silver Stars, and then they moved to Vegas.
Yeah, they're like the
And
Silver Stars are like the aces now, right?
the Aces now, and I think the I guess the minor league version of the hockey. I don't know what team it is over there, but I'm pretty sure I think they did move to Vegas if they're still there. And then most recently, you have the Raiders. They moved to Vegas. It's been a couple years, but everybody seems to be moving to Vegas and kind of you know finding more success over there, whether it's like business wise or fan wise. But I know the A's have been trying to relocate for quite some time just because that Oakland doesn't want to give them their new stadium. And people run into this problem, or not people, but owners run into the problem of not getting the new stadium that they want. I think, especially in the NFL, it happened to I think the Bills, right?
I I'm not sure. I know what you're talking
I
about, but
think,
I don't remember.
yeah, I think it was the Bills because I remember they were talking about relocating to Austin here in
Oh
Texas,
yeah, yeah, it was the
right?
Bills, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just kind of one of those things that we're probably going to see a little bit more of if the cities don't want to come up with the money or the funding to have new stadiums, which, it could be a positive, it could be a negative, whatever you think. But, the A's being the Vegas A's or Las Vegas A's would be pretty cool to see. And, we'll just have to see what the future holds for the A's.
With that, we can move on to the NBA section, which trade deadline's coming up. As we're recording this, it's like literally, I think, less than 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 20, 18 hours till the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Uh, So the
around the
big
corner.
trade, yeah, the big trade that just happened, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, was Kyrie Irving sent to the Mavs along with Markeith Morris, sorry, not Marcus.
Right.
And the Nets, in return, get Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and a 2029 first-round pick, unprotected, plus 2 second-round picks also. So that's a lot of stuff for the Mavericks to kind of give up with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure Kyrie Irving has like either a player option or he's done with the contract after this year.
Right. I think because I was watching something and I think they said that they were talking about the Lakers being in the mix and they were like, well, why would we want to have a rental for like half the season? When another guy brought up the good point where it's like, well, we could see how he does here, you know? But I mean, for him to go to the Mavs, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I think that boosts the Mavs' chances of, going really deep in the playoffs for sure. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I think pairing him up with Luca it's gonna end up being pretty good. I think they'll get pretty far in the playoffs. Um, I think I don't know. I think Kyrie, Luca, and Christian Wood is gonna be a good big three,
Mm-hmm.
and I am glad that they are starting Christian Wood now for the last month or two.
Right. Like we had talked about that. I think it was either our first or second podcast
It
ever.
was one of
Like,
the first podcasts, but
yeah, we were talking
honestly,
about that.
this trade's not bad. I mean, it's great for the Mavs this year, like super like yeah, this year we're gonna win type trade,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly makes sense because you have Luca. You just needed someone else that was gonna consistently score with the starters.
Right.
I think the part that surprised me though was Dorian Finney-Smith. I heard people talking about that he would get traded, but they had just given him the extension, this off season. I didn't think they would get rid of him so fast.
Mm-hmm.
But the 2029 first rounder, you have Luca. You expect to be good in 2029. Doesn't matter.
Right.
And then 2 second
That was
round
just kind of
picks.
extra.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
extra stuff. I
But
think this trade deadline is gonna be kind of crazy.
right, I think it's gonna be one of the more busy ones we've seen in the past few years because I think in the past few years it's been not slow, but
Not
just
many
not as
big trades.
exciting. Right, right. And so we have Kyrie, and I think here pretty soon we'll have a lot more in the next few couple hours,
Well,
I guess, few hours.
Woj just put out on Instagram that the Lakers are finalizing a deal to land D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt.
Oh wow, this is breaking news.
And it says the trade includes Mike Conley and 3 second round picks to the Timberwolves, and Russell Westbrook and a lightly protected 2027 first round pick to the Jazz. Also in deal, Juan Toscano Anderson and Damian Jones to the Jazz, Nikhil Alexander Walker to the Timberwolves. So this trade is not done yet, but it's being finalized. So some things
It's
could change, that it might
hmm
fall through, you never know.
right, and what it seems like all the pieces that have been moved, um, I think everybody kind of wins.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big I think it's
Hmm.
gonna be a big trade, and I think D'Angelo Russell being on the Lakers again with LeBron and AD is gonna be really good for him, being that third scoring option,
Hmm.
and he's gonna get a lot of. I think he's gonna get a lot of catch and shoot opportunities with LeBron running the point, basically. And then Westbrook just going to Utah, that doesn't really do
Right.
anything.
Hmm.
But I do think Mike Conley to Minnesota might actually be good.
Because you've
Because
seen how they've done with pretty solid point guards. I mean, like D'Angelo Russell, obviously, and before that it was Man, I forget his name.
They
It's one
had
of the
Ricky
keys, right?
Rubio. Oh, they
Ricky
had Jeff
Rubio,
Teague.
the
Yeah,
post.
they had Jeff Teague
Yeah.
for a couple
So
years.
they've always been pretty solid with their point guards, and so you know that definitely would help.
Especially to have Mike Conley, who is a veteran, probably one of the
Exactly.
best veterans playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So just having him being able to I guess mentor the young guys, even Cat's still kind of young. What is he like 20,
Right.
24, 25?
Yeah, he's super young.
Yeah. But I think this is going to be a good trade all around.
Uh-huh.
There are some other little like rumors on what's happening. Also, apparently the Russell Westbrook will most likely be bought out by the Jazz. So he'll become a free agent.
Interesting. I wonder where he would end up.
Oh, who knows, honestly.
Yeah.
But there are other like big trade rumors going on. Like a lot of people are going for Van Vliet and Siakam like together. They want both of them.
Oh wow, like a package deal,
Yeah,
kind of like us.
you got him right. But and then I hear a lot of talk about Jakob Pertl. Like I think
Yeah, I've
three
been
or four
hearing a lot
teams
about.
want him.
I think the Raptors are one of them too. So
Yeah,
that'd be crazy to see him to go back to the Raptors.
yeah, the Raptors and I think the Celtics are one of them, and I
Celtics,
think the
right?
Heat for some reason. Yeah, so there's a lot of big things that could go on. I
Mm-hmm.
know the Heat want to let Kyle Lowry go. There's other ones. That's all I could think of off the top of my head. But honestly, this trade deadline is either going to be super, super crazy and everyone's going to get moved, or the only big trade is going to be Kyrie and then the one we just talked about with D'Lo and
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook and Conley.
Right.
Uh, we can move on to probably the biggest news of the week. LeBron James breaks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. That's been in place for 38 years. This is probably really, really elevating him to be that unarguable like goat, undisputed goat. You know what I mean?
You're right. Yeah, because there's always that back and forth between him and Jordan. So
And everyone has their opinions. My opinion has always been Michael Jordan is better,
same here.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to look at the stats of LeBron and be like he's not one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, yeah,
As much
and
as a Spurs fan, as much as we hated LeBron for so many years, I can't like say anything about like bad about him right now. He's just playing and he said he could play a couple more years too, so that record might not ever get broken.
yeah, it'll be crazy if it does. I mean, yeah,
And it was really cool to see Bronny James and Bryce James in the front row, you know.
just hanging out. Yeah, what
Yeah,
for him? It must have been a yeah.
Bronny even recorded the shot that put him over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It
it must have
just
been
seemed
like
like
a
a
really
cool
great
moment.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been a great moment for LeBron. I mean, you could see it once they, because I'm not too sure if you watched it, but I was watching it, and after he broke the record, it was I think a few seconds left in the third quarter, and they like just stopped it immediately, and like camera crews and like some people in the front rows and like teammates were all just cheering, and they did like the special presentation, and they stopped the game, but it was pretty cool, like a pretty cool moment. You could see the emotion in his eyes. He started crying when he was there with his kids and stuff. So
Yeah,
it was great
like
to see
when
that
Curry broke
acknowledgement.
the 3-point record.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it was really cool. There was a really cool moment after the game too when he was like icing his knees in the locker room
Yeah.
with his sons and he said, "So which one of y'all are going to break my record?" And they
That's
both said,
crazy.
"Nah, we're gonna be 2-3."
That'd be crazy.
That I don't know. That was a really cool moment, really wholesome moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, that's all we got for NBA right now. Um, we can move on to the NFL. Another big thing going on this weekend. The Super Bowl, of course.
Hmm. It's
So
about that time.
it's about time to make our predictions.
I don't think I'm ready for that.
All right, I'll go first then. Um, yeah, I think the Eagles take this game. I think the Eagles win the Super Bowl. I think there's been all this talk about Patrick Mahomes he's just gonna take over the game, beat beat the defense of the Eagles down, basically. And I think this Eagles defense is very, very good against what Mahomes would want to do, which is pass the ball. Because what you have like three really good corners, and then you have the pass rush. Their pass rush is gonna be lethal. Like they have so much depth up front on defense and if Mahomes can't move the way he normally does, because he still has the ankle thing, yeah, it's not gonna look good. I think um I think it's gonna be close, of course. Like it's gonna be really, really like not high scoring, but like in the 20s most likely. There's no way it's gonna be like that Patriots Rams Super Bowl where it was like 10-3. But yeah, I just think the Eagles win. I think Jason wins the Kelsey Bowl, and um, I think Jalen Hurts takes the Super Bowl MVP. I think he has like 3 touchdown passes to I think 2 to AJ Brown, 1 to Devontae Smith, and I think one of them is like a game-winning drive. That's my prediction. So what do you
Interesting.
think?
Yeah, so I think I would have to agree with you on both turnouts. The winner of the game and the Super Bowl MVP. That it'll be the Eagles winning, and then Jalen Hurts being the MVP. And the only reason why I say that is because we had talked about it. I think in the last podcast, the podcast before, and it was the Eagles and the 49ers. We thought had the best all around team. You know.
Yeah.
And so whoever would win would just be the better all around team going into the Super Bowl. And so this is the case. And so, you know, the Eagles have weapons on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And, I think that the Eagles are going to come out with the win. And yes, you can argue that the Chiefs could win, but I think the only reason why they would win if they do is because of the experience that they have in the Super Bowl. They've been there in that game. They've played in a game, they've played it with all that pressure of being in the Super Bowl. So, you know, they kind of know what to expect. And so I think a factor would be Pat Mahomes' ankle because he might not be able to move. We should see going forward because, I mean, I haven't really heard any news on it. So maybe they're kind of keeping it under the wraps. Not too sure. But I think it'll be a high scoring game as well. I think it'd be a great game overall. So we'll just have to see come Sunday.
Yeah, and I think the 49ers got super unlucky in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, it sucked because I didn't really get to watch most of it, but I heard what happened and I think I still got the alert on my phone, like Purdy got hurt. I'm like, wait, what? No way! Like that's what 4 quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks,
Yeah, well, it was 4 quarterbacks because he was the third string. He gets hurt.
right?
And
Mm-hmm.
then what's his name?
Was
Josh
it
Johnson,
Josh
right?
Johnson? Yeah,
He
Josh
gets a
Johnson got hurt.
concussion
Yeah,
and then they have to put Purdy back in the game, but he can't
Mhm.
throw.
Exactly.
Like you could tell he could not throw the ball. And if they didn't put him in there, the emergency quarterback is Christian McCaffrey.
They
Which,
should have just put in the kicker or the punter like you do in Madden.
yo, if they went Madden on us, like that would have been wild. Who is
Wow,
their
did they?
kicker? Robbie Gold? Hell no.
Robbie Gold, yeah. Imagine him throwing the ball at least 70 yards.
His
Hell
bald ass
no.
throwing the ball? No.
Yeah, no. Him getting sacked. That would just you'd lose your kicker at that point.
Bro, you as a kicker and your quarterback at that
And
point.
your quarterback, yeah. Man, yeah. Definitely not like Danny White, for the Cowboys back in the day.
Oh
The
god.
the punter and the quarterback. Yeah. Man,
Oh
that'd be
my
crazy.
god. I don't know. I just felt like that game was so unlucky for the 49ers.
I think they've just had an unlucky season all around. I mean, they had a pretty decent record. They went pretty deep in the playoffs, but it's just like, man, that's just it happens.
Yeah. Okay, so we can move on to actually I just thought about this. Um what did you think of the Pro Bowl format?
Oh yeah, so I think I had texted you. I was watching it because I was like, oh, it's a different format. Let's watch it. So
Yeah.
I watched it, and probably about like after the first flag football game, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of over it. Like it was what 2 10-minute halves, I think. Which don't get me wrong, they went by pretty quick, and my attention span didn't go anywhere because at that point I was like, it's pretty interesting. And then at that point, afterwards, I think they did games in between, right? Or like the little challenges
Well, I
afterward
mean,
or
I
in
think they
between.
did some during the week too because they had like the dodgeball on like
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah. So that's what kind of confused me because I think because after that first game of flag football, I think they went on to some skills things, but like it was in I guess the Raiders practice facility or something because it
Yeah.
was indoor, and there was like a few fans, and I think they did the kicking one right after, and I was like the kicking tic tac toe or whatever,
Oh,
and I was like,
that's when they roasted Brett Maher for no reason.
yeah, yeah, and then you would expect Justin Tucker to be the best kicker there, but no, he was doing super bad. Like I don't know. And then I was just like, I kind of got over it after that. And then I flipped back and forth. I saw some of the dodgeball, but it was just kind of all out of order. It felt
Yeah.
like it was just scrambled, and I just didn't like it. I was like, what am I watching? So I think that's why I like ended up changing it.
I think the flag football was probably the smarter thing to do. I think that
Hmm.
was the best part about it. I mean, they had like the best catch competition, and they had
The
other
tic tac
things that I
toe
wasn't
and
really. They had like a relay race.
accuracy, the relay race. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it was kind of like it made it more fun, I guess. But I think the flag football was the better part because you have the Manning
Mhm.
brothers, coaching.
Yeah, that was cool because they had the camera on them, and you could hear their plays, hear everything,
Yeah.
kind of like that on-field experience, which was cool. But I just wish they kind of did like just a full game of flag football instead of just like breaking it up like they did. Because like I said, my attention span was just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, honestly, it was I don't know. I think it was just confusing cuz it was the first time and like we didn't really look too much into it.
Right. And then like I said, all the other stuff was like filmed beforehand, so that's what also threw it off.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, because I think it was because I don't think they moved them from the stadium to the facility like that. You know what I mean? I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. It just
Maybe.
it felt weird.
I don't know. I just remember seeing all over Instagram the thing of Stephon Diggs with like the what was it like the superhero mask hiding behind the dancers.
Hmm.
Yeah, they were like, "You ain't slick. We know what you're doing." Yeah, but I don't know. I just thought about that when I was about to move on.
Hmm.
Yeah, but now we could talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady retires again.
He finally, well, we don't know. He finally retired again.
He might Brett Favre
Uh,
that shit, honestly.
yeah, yeah, come out of retirement again.
I don't
But
know, cause right after he retired, he posted like on Instagram a picture of him just like in his underwear, and I was like, "What the hell's going on, bro?"
you're enjoying life a little too much there, buddy.
Yeah, man. And he like added people. He was like at Julian Edelman. Did I do this right? Like, what does that even mean? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, he got divorced and he don't even know what to do with his life.
Exactly, exactly. You know, you lose to the Cowboys in the playoffs, and that's what you do.
Yeah, honestly, that makes sense. You go crazy.
And yeah, makes a lot of sense. So I mean, I guess happy trails for him because I know he has like his sporting brand. It was a TB12, and apparently he has a new one at Dick's Sporting Goods. It's called
I think
Brady.
something happened with TB12 or something. I mean, he
Did
still
it? Oh,
has
okay,
it.
so he still has it, but yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure. I really don't know, but I know he has that new brand. I guess so-called brand, Brady, and so
It's just called
pretty.
Brady.
It's just called Brady. Yeah, pretty
God damn
expensive
it.
stuff. Pretty expensive stuff. Like $75 for a sweatshirt. I mean, come on. Let's be real.
I don't want to hear it. You bought a CLB sweatshirt for $75.
You know what? Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Just bought a mean green jersey right now too for like what 140.
Ooh,
but
that one's worth
it
it.
was all worth it. It was all worth it. Yeah, best basketball team. Well, we'll get to that later. Yeah, but yeah. So it's just like he has investments and stuff. I'm sure going forward, still has his kids to think about and get them on the right track and stuff. So we'll just see what he does. Maybe like they said, I think he had a deal with what was it, Fox for commentary?
It was Fox or CBS. I don't remember.
Fox or yeah, one of the two. So he has that too to lean on. So I think going forward he'll be fine. I think it's better that he had retired because I didn't see any other situation of him doing any better. It's just the same result.
Yeah, honestly, I'm glad that he retired. Like he probably wasn't gonna be Super Bowl quarterback anymore. He's still probably the greatest quarterback of all time.
Right? Yeah. No one can take that away from him.
But I think it was about the time he came back out of retirement that where he retired for like a month and then he came back. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll wait a month or two, see
Yeah,
if he
we'll wait a
tries to
month.
come
That
back
seems like
again.
his timetable would be like, did our alarm go off for March 8th? Yeah, like,
Oh, it's time for me to come back.
yeah, be like, oh look, he's back. Cool.
Hey, look, I tricked him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that he's finally gonna end his career.
Mm-hmm.
Probably go into commentating, which would probably be beautiful for him. Maybe
Mm-hmm. Or
replace Tony Romo, because apparently they don't like
as
him.
yeah, and then he'll probably go play golf too because he's been in that celebrity golf stuff.
Yeah,
So along with Tony Romo, now that you bring it up, so
and Aaron Rodgers, who we're about to
oh
talk about
yeah,
now.
yeah, we're trying to talk about now. Yeah.
Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is the most confusing human being I've ever like. I don't understand what he's doing.
Well, I mean, if you go back and look at his Joe Rogan podcast episode, that explains it all. I think all that just right there. I
That's
mean,
the one
even
where
his
he talked
little
about he was like off a perk in a game, right?
yeah, and then probably Pat McAfee's too. He's there every Tuesday. So
Yeah.
if you just see his interviews, he's a strange character. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, did you
Strange
hear what
character.
did you hear what he said he's gonna do before he figures out if he wants to stay or leave or like retire?
Mm, no, no, I
He's
didn't.
going on a 4-night retreat where he's in pure darkness and doesn't talk to anybody.
That sounds dangerous.
Dude, that sounds like his demons are gonna come and get him.
I feel like you'd start to see things in the dark at like I think an hour in.
I don't
I already
know.
do that at
He
night.
probably sees things already. He's probably off some crazy shit.
Yeah, he's probably like on some sort of drug or something right now or whatever.
But it's kind of interesting to see like what he's gonna do, because technically he's on contract with the Packers,
Packers still, yeah.
so he could retire or we could trade him. And a lot of people are saying that we're gonna trade him to the Jets.
Yeah, I heard that the Jets were gonna put all their eggs in the basket, send them whatever they want, and just so they can get him. Which, I mean, at this point, they've had a little bit of success in the past 2 years, but not much. You
Yeah,
know,
I
it's
mean,
definitely better.
I guess you could have him for a year or two, and
Yeah,
then
and just
he like does the Brett Favre treatment to himself the way Brett Favre treated him, but he does it to Zach
mm,
Wilson.
exactly. So,
Yeah. And the other big like rumored place that he would end up is Las Vegas, because apparently everyone wants to go
mm,
to Vegas. We already talked about this.
everybody wants to go to Vegas. Yep, the A's, Aaron Rodgers. Look, both A's, both start with the A. So,
Aaron,
uh, A run. Yeah. So,
but
I mean, who
it
knows?
I think it's really funny seeing all the things on Twitter with Devontae, and he's like, "Man, house shopping is fun." He's like, "Do you want to be my neighbor?" He's just tweeting at Aaron Rodgers. There was
Yeah, kind of
actually,
teasing it.
yeah, he was at one of the Aaron was at one of those golf things, and this guy in the crowd just started recording him and was going Raiders,
Mm.
and then he's like, um, something about, are you gonna go live in Vegas with Devontae? And then Aaron responds with, tell Devontae to buy me a house with all that money he got, which is really
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, just two friends, shooting it, shooting pool.
And I think Devontae was like, yeah, like I'm probably the biggest troll on Twitter, so don't take it too seriously. But of course, I want him there.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool reunion. I mean, maybe something will happen. It's like going into the off season, a little recruiting, or who knows, or
We'll see after his goddamn pitch black retreat.
yeah, his pitch black retreat.
Yeah.
Starts, he's gonna be like, I was in the dark and I saw the Jets and the Raiders. Well, who are you going to? Neither.
I also
It's like,
saw my front door. That's where I'm going
yeah.
because I want
So,
to go home.
yeah, who knows?
But another thing I read was about Derek Carr actually. About how he is visiting or meeting with the Saints. I think this week or next week.
Interesting.
Yeah. So honestly, that's an upgrade from Andy Dalton. I'm not gonna cap.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Dalton had, you know, he's been decent, but no means has he been like the great starter.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, Derek Carr could find some success. Him and Taysom Hill, who knows? But then you
Y-
also got to look at Jameis Winston now that I think about it. But is he a free agent or is he?
I actually don't know.
Yeah, so that also plays a factor into it too, I guess. I mean, I guess he could be a backup, but I mean, who knows? Who knows?
All right. So another thing that I had forgot about that happened, I think last week, is Sean Payton.
Sean
He
Payton.
he is the new head coach of the Denver Broncos.
I think this is great for the Broncos, honestly. And there was those rumors I think a few months ago that he was going to come back to coaching and that he was going to have this like really great all-star coaching staff. So we'll have to see going forward who he hires because I'm not too sure. He might have hired everyone already and we don't know, or we do know, but
I
personally I
heard
don't know.
something about that, like the old Seahawks quarterback coach came over with Russell Wilson,
Oh, okay.
and that he just fired him or got rid of him or something
Oh,
like
wow.
that.
So yeah, he's probably going to start doing that now, just to see where it
Um,
goes from there.
I think the funniest part about this was that they had to trade for him.
They had to trade for him.
Yeah, they gave up their 29th overall pick this year and a second rounder next year in exchange for him and a third round pick next year.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because
That's
because
a thing.
it's because he was technically on contract with the Saints and he retired, so
Mm,
he still had his contract. But yeah,
yeah. Yep.
honestly,
It would be you. I mean, if you're gonna trade for a coach, it might as well be the one that wears Jordans and has a Jordan contract, right?
goddamn right. But I think this is a good start for the Broncos. You have your quarterback, and then now you have your head
Your
coach
coach. Hmm.
who's used to coaching short, not so good arm quarterbacks.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so I think a lot of eyes will be definitely on the Broncos, especially with the new coach and Russell Wilson. Sorry,
oh,
excuse me. Not being as good as everyone thought this season. So yeah, the pieces are slowly starting to come together.
all right, that's it for our NFL news. Now we can go to our favorite section, the
Yeah,
mean green section.
mean green.
All right, so
If we had confetti, we would shoot it right now. Green confetti, probably glitter too. Why not? Put some glitter in there.
so the Mean Green basketball team take 2 wins versus UTSA and UTEP. Pretty standard average games, really low scoring, because
Hmm.
our defense is really good. Not too interesting of games.
Yeah, I think the UTSA game wasn't it kind of back and forth at the beginning,
I
but then
mean,
it picked up,
it ended up as a close game, but
right?
they just
Yeah,
couldn't hit the big shots. UTSA could not
yeah, which was is expected. Excuse me.
because it's UTSA.
Um, right. Not that they're the worst team ever, but they're just not as good
They're just one of
as
the
they
lower
lower
teams
tier
in the conference, but
in the conference. Yeah.
that doesn't
Hmm.
mean that they're bad or anything. I know they have a young
Right.
team, and I
Kind of
think
slowly rebuilding. Yeah.
because didn't last year they had what's his name, Javon Jackson.
Yeah, yeah. And so
Yeah,
he
so that was
left.
a high
So
scoring player. Like he was like one of the top 5 scorers in the country or something like that.
yeah, and then he left. So they're slowly trying to find their pieces to build up their offense and their defense.
And this last Saturday, UNT comes up with a big win versus Rice to tie that series 1-1, led by a big game by Kai Hunsberry with 21 and Abu Usman with the 17. So that was a great outing for the team. We needed that win, especially after losing to Rice
Yeah,
like a
because
couple weeks ago.
that last game was just like we should have won that game, but it happens. It is what it is at this point. But at least we get the win now.
I think that first Rice loss really woke us up because we were kind of like we weren't playing our hardest. But then after that, I think we had really two really good games, UTSA and UTEP.
Hmm.
And to come back and to beat Rice, the team that just beat us like not even 2 weeks ago, really, really good win for the boys. But our next game tomorrow, as we're recording this, it is tomorrow,
Right.
versus UAB. UAB with Jelly Walker, aka Jordan Walker.
Hmm.
And I think this will be a real big test for our defense because this is a team that just not even a week ago, I think a week ago, beat FAU, who was 19th in the country then. Yeah, so this is a really, really big test for our defense, especially because Jelly Walker is one of the best scorers in the country. And if we can do really good this game, this could really solidify us as a top 5 defense in the country. I think we're the second scoring defense in the country,
Hmm.
right behind Tennessee. So honestly, this game's really big for us because it'll put us at second in the conference, and it'll prove ourselves against the team that is really good with
Right.
that's finally healthy. Because Jelly Walker had been out for like a
Was
couple weeks.
hmm And then this would be a good game, just to test us and see how we would play. Going into the tournament, or not the tournament, but the conference tournament. You know, and
Yeah.
I think at this point anything can happen with the top. What is it? 4 teams, because you have FAU, us. I want to say it's Middle Tennessee and UAB, kind of just like all right there. So I want to say it's just close either way. And I think as of right now, with the tournament brackets looking at, I mean, it could be anybody on either side.
Yeah, I think our conference is going to be really tough because all these teams can come out with a big win. Like even Louisiana Tech can come out with a big win. Rice is like sixth in our conference, but they're 15-8.
Yeah, so it's all close. And of course, I mean, we've heard speculation or kind of rumors that there could possibly be 2 CUSA teams in the tournament this year, just depending on where that number 1 and number 2 sit at the net rankings. Because I'm not too sure if FAU is still ranked
Yeah,
at this
I think they're
point.
21.
Okay, so it
Oh
just
no,
kind of
they
depends.
dropped. They dropped
Oh, they
out.
dropped. Okay, yeah. See, so it just depends. So now it might just only be one team, because it could have been 2 teams with FAU, sorry, being ranked. So we'll just have to see going forward, kind of what the standings are and where everyone stands and who gets the bids. Really,
Yeah, because normally, what is it like the
I
top
believe it's the
40 or
top
something like that get
40,
in,
and then, uh-huh,
and then
and
conference
then
championship stuff. Like,
conference champion. So it just kind of all factors in, and who knows? And we've kind
so
of got the short end of the stick there,
yeah, so as
getting
of I
only.
think last week, North Texas was 57 in the net rankings.
Yeah, so a win here against UAB would definitely be a big win, big step up. And then going into the tournament, like I said, we just have to see going forward who wins. And like I said, there might be a lot of big upsets. Who knows?
Yeah, so this conference tournament is going to be big for all the Conference USA teams.
Hmm.
And I think the only way realistically we get a second bid is that if FAU doesn't win the tournament.
Right.
Because if another team wins the tournament and FAU somehow is like ranked or like right outside being ranked, I think they make it, and then I think whoever wins the tournament, of course, makes it.
Hmm.
So our biggest chance is, of course, to win the tournament. But it'll be interesting. I think the back end of this conference play is going to be fun too.
I think so too.
You got anything else?
No.
All right, we can end it here. All right, guys. If you liked our topics, if you liked the podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what else you want to like hear about, or if you have any of your opinions, put them in the comments. Our TikTok is also going to be linked in the description, so you can go check that out for shorter versions. Um, and I was your host, Holbert, with my co-host,
Hunter,
and we'll see you next time.
see ya.